Hello, everyone, and welcome to He Matters. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. And today I feel so privileged and so honored to have one of the top bosses in Zimbabwe, Mr. Arthur Marara, who has kindly agreed to come onto this platform to tell us a little bit about, how we can be motivated and inspired to actually make a difference and a change within our lives. Now, one of the reasons that we're having this conversation is really primarily because COVID has left some people pretty stuck where it comes to finances and really trying to make it in life. So, having listened to Mr. Marara's motivational talks and also what he does within his life, I just felt that really He Matters needs to hear from him and just get that injection of motivation and injection of inspiration. So, Mr. Marara, thank you so much for joining us here on He Matters.
Well, thank you so much, Ethel. Finally, I think it's really great to be on your platform and get to connect with your audience. And also get to share ideas with your wonderful audience. Yeah, it's really an honor from my end.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, I know you're a very busy man, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want to thank you for this time. And we're going to make it quite a succinct conversation where we really talk a little bit about yourself, Mr. Marara, because I've been really inspired by you just listening to some of your videos. I've been really kind of motivated and thought like, wow, I mean, where's he getting that energy? One of the things that quite striking about you, Arthur, is your passion. I mean, you're really passionate when you talk, and you really kind of, there's something about you wanting people to just get up and act, and that's what I gather from your talks. But Arthur, I'm really curious to know a little bit about you first. Like, who is Arthur, and a little bit about your background. Do you want to just start from just sharing that with us?
Thanks so much, Ethel. I think that's a question I get asked commonly, but my summary is I'm just an ordinary guy in the hands of an extraordinary God. That's what I really believe I am. So I'm a lawyer by profession. I think many of the guys who follow some of my work may actually have picked. But many people actually think I'm a speaker more than a lawyer. I don't know.
Yeah.
But between age 5, I'm actually in the courtroom. If I'm not in the courtroom, I'm in the office. So I actually went to university 4 years to study law from the University of Zimbabwe. That's what I actually trained formally. But besides law, I discovered that I have a passion for people development. I want to see people doing things with their lives.
Yeah.
And for me, really, I think that's one of the things that I'm so passionate about, to see people's lives change ordinarily. And I think that's the side many people have actually come to know more. For me, speaking is actually a hobby. I really enjoy connecting with people, getting share ideas. It's very important. Then later on, I'm going to share with you my motivation, why I think the way I think. And trust me, God has been so gracious. I've been able to see lives turn around. I've been able to see many people making the distance, say, what I want to change my life, which is the level that I want people to get to, where you realize that your life can change, but it's no one who is coming to change your life. You need to take responsibility for changing it. Thirdly, I'm a writer. I've written 15 books. I'll be finishing
15 as in 1-5.
Yeah, 5. I think from the background, you might actually be seeing some of my books. 7 of them were approved and recommended for use in all schools by the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. So now I've been able to reach out to more people. I've met some of my students at university. So I usually visit Faculty of Law, where I also get to teach at times. So it's really, really humbling getting to a class with people who have actually read your works and they're saying, wow, we didn't actually know you like in person, but coming to contact with your work.
Wow.
I've done several motivational books as well. So 3 new books are coming. I'll show you next time. But I actually got the dummies right now, but I'm finalizing. So my desire is to see a transformation in people's lives, but the transformation really begins from a decision perspective that I want my life to change. So I'm first born at number 5. My father died when I was 13 years of age. Grew up with a single mother. So the bulk of the things that I'm sharing, many people think I'm speaking from a position of privilege. No, I'm not speaking from a position of privilege. I'm speaking from a position of a 13-year-old boy, orphaned at that age, walked to school 10 kilometers every day to go to school. We couldn't even afford an umbrella, not even a raincoat, walked in the rain, had to walk, cross flooded rivers. But today I'm speaking to you as a lawyer. So
wow.
For me, I know everything. You know, I did temporary teaching in 2004. I remember at one point in time having to walk over 25 kilometers on foot just to go and teach so that you can raise a few dollars to go to university. But guess what? I think God was actually setting me up to realize that by calling, I'm actually a teacher. So I'm a teacher by calling, eh? I love ideas, imparting ideas. Just that I've got a unique way of putting across messages.
Yeah.
That passion, but also I'm a very blunt speaker. I just believe in telling people the truth.
I've actually seen that. I've seen it on your motivational videos. But Arthur, do you know what? I just want to rewind a little bit with what you just said. So you said at the age of 13, you lost your father, and then you were raised by your mother. So your mother's a lone parent, as a lone parent, which is even more encouraging to a lot of people. And you've written 15 books, and you also teach, and you are a lawyer, and you're doing this, you're doing a business. I mean, do you have more than 24 hours in your day, or what happens here? How do you manage this? How do you do it?
You know what? One of the things that I actually help people, I've done a book called Keys to Effective Time Management. You see, you don't have a time problem, you've got a discipline problem. And that's what I think many people have. You know, for anything that's important, you actually create time. So in the UK where you're based, the many people are so fanatics of football. You know, watching one match will cost you 1 hour, 30 minutes, not even counting the injury time, not even counting the commentary and so forth. So pretty much you're actually budgeting and working with about 2 hours. So if someone can sit on television to watch other men running for 90 minutes to make more money, it simply means they can actually create time for other things. So for me, I'm just a guy with 24 hours, but who really understands what I want to do, where I want to go. And I get to give time to the things that are very important. And you realize what, every week, each and every one of us have 168 hours. That's the number of weeks, number of hours per week. So what you need to do pretty much is to sit down with yourself and do an audit. What are you using your time for? So I sleep around about 1 a.m. every day, try to read. If I'm watching stuff, I usually want to watch documentaries that can open your mind, stretch your mind. And today I was watching something very interesting. It's called 14 Minutes from Earth. I was like, okay.
What is it called?
14 Minutes from Earth. It's actually a true story about a guy called Alan Eustace. So it's now the world record holder of the highest space jump. And I was going through what he was going through in order for him to be able to actually get to that. I'm like, wow. So learn to use your time towards things that add value to you.
Exactly.
Things that stretch your mind. By the way, your earning capacity, coming to finances, your earning capacity is connected to your learning capacity. Meaning, if you want to earn more, you need to learn more. I have to write all
this stuff down, Arthur. Yeah.
So if you want to earn more, you need to learn more. So there is a connection between learning and earning. And that's also a function of time. Meaning you need to understand that your time is really money. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. So right now, speaking to many people who are saying, I'm stuck, I'm stranded. For me, I think what you actually need to do is to sit down with yourself and say, okay, I'm stuck. Yes, it's a reality, but what is the future that I want? What is the ideal image of the future that I want? And you design it. You know, when my father died, therefore, just to give you a bit of me, life wasn't easy. But you see, deep down inside, I so believed that someday I'll be someone. I didn't know much as to what I was going to do, but just deep down inside me, I knew I wanted to be someone. You know what?
But what gave you that? What instilled that kind of belief in you? Is it because of the principles that were there within your home, and is it something your mother taught you or said, or what actually instilled that in you from such a young age?
You know, I really thank God so much. I believe so much in my spirituality. I think there was a significant turning point from A level where I just began to believe that I can actually do it. My mother is one of my inspirations, really. learning from a woman who left the home, went into the streets to become a vendor so that 5 babies can have a life. So today, she's no longer a vendor. She's pretty much comfortable. But for me, seeing my mother going through that, being chased by the police, being arrested for vending, I said, Mama, your life is not going to be like this forever.
You want to change the story.
And you see, one of the things that I tell people everywhere, never forget where you're coming from. You see, I think this is the tragedy. Whenever I go to the University of Zimbabwe, and pretty much many universities where I go to speak, I'm always reminding people, don't forget where you're coming from. So right now, we've got people in the diaspora who are forgetting where they're coming from. Don't forget the poverty you're running away from. For me, that image of the past is a great reminder that I don't want to go back. For me, that image that I went through a lot. I don't want any of my family members, neither do I want any of my babies to go through that. So I've made a commitment that as long as I'm alive, even after me, no one with my surname, no one who comes from me is ever going to be poor. So you see, you need to confront your background, confront your situation, make declarations. By declarations, I'm not talking about the usual routine in the spiritual circles, no, but actually setting the boundaries, setting the rules that a new future begins with me. A new life begins with me. A life of financial freedom, a life of financial wellness begins with me. And by the way, for me, I think my story should actually be encouragement for many people. I've got a U in mathematics at O level. I've got a C in English at O level, C English A level, 3rd class university communication skills. So I'm not a guy who even boasts of brilliant academic records, but I'm a guy who has realized that if you focus on your future and not on your weaknesses, you can actually turn around your life.
Yeah,
and what you feed time, what you give time grows, and what you neglect dies.
Exactly. And what I'm hearing from you there, Arthur, is something around self-belief and also around mindset. So there's something about just really calibrating your mind there to really the trajectory that you want to set for your life. And wow, what a story. Is your story in a book? Is this one of the books you've written, Arthur?
All right, so now in the upcoming books, the 3 books, I'm actually capturing some snippets in that book. I really think I'm still a developing story.
No, but what you just said so far until now, obviously we haven't talked about the journey until now, but it's like, my goodness, there's so many things already picked up. So self-belief from a young age, obviously being raised by a lone parent, you believing in yourself and really just using the place where you're at to be the catapult that has catapulted you to where you are now, and also academically. So there's so many different threads that you can go down with this, really.
You know what, there's a guy called William James. I want you to read about him.
Okay.
William James, born with serious health issues, at one point in time tried to commit suicide. He couldn't succeed. Goes into the Amazon with some guys who were suffering from serious asthmatic conditions. It was a mess. But when he tried the last time to commit suicide, this time was able to meet with a mentor and says, why don't you change the things that you're talking about to yourself? And guess what? He committed to himself that he's going to give himself just 1 year to start speaking positively, start speaking life to his life. And guess what? In that 1 year, he was able to transform his life, rising to become a respected psychologist in history.
Wow.
And this is what he says. He says the greatest discovery of any generation is that a human being can alter the course of his life by merely altering the attitudes of his life. So if you want to alter the course of your life, you need to alter your attitudes, which also reflects the mindset. So for me, I'm a guy who now I'm realizing that the U that I got in mathematics is not actually a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength.
Yeah.
That the moment I begin to realize that I'm not my past, I am my future, I begin to feed that. And you see, so right now, what we need to help many people is to work on how we think. And once you re-engineer the minds, once we renew the mind by setting it to the basic defaults, you said the default setting of a human mind is it has no limits. The default setting of a human mind, it has no limits. That's why when a baby is born, the baby believes they can get anything. Exactly. And the only thing that brings about limitations is education. That's when you're told, no, you can't fly, you need a parachute. That's when you're told, no, you can't buy that, you need money. Why? Because the default setting of a human mind is you can do anything. So what we need to help many people is pretty much brainwash. I think you've heard the terminology, brainwash. By brainwashing is you're now introducing the ideas that you want in the mind. Programming your mind constantly by the things that you introduce and say, this is my new reality. If you grow in Zimbabwe, at a certain point in time, I don't know, from the early 2000s, there was a song which used to be sang, I don't know if you know it, but it was called Rambai Makashinga. If you know Rambai Makashinga, this is a song that would be played every time you breathe. So
sing a few lines, Arthur.
Yeah, telling me that Rambai Makashinga, Shingirirai, Rambai Makashinga. You know the song?
Okay, yes.
That Rambai Makashinga song, anybody who grew in Zimbabwe in the 2000s, early 2000s, will tell you that song. No, that song was played until people would complain. Played and played, but guess what? People got to an extent that they started even liking the song. Why? Because of repetition. And I want to drive a point here. Repetition is so important. So that you would unconsciously sing Rambai Makashinga, Rambai Makashinga. Why? Because these guys have mastered that if you want to drive a certain point home, if you want to have that point settle, repeat it. So which is why we need to help people to realize that you need to start repeating the right material.
So like a broken record, Yeah,
I am financially free. I am a person of destiny. I'm not a victim of my past. My life is in control. My life is perfect. My life is shaping up. My future is shaping. Why? Because see, what you repeat constantly becomes your reality.
It becomes a reality.
It becomes a reality. So you see, that's why for me, I don't have a public speaking background, by the way. I'm a self-trained speaker. So no one right now will tell you that I'm a self-trained speaker. So there is no one right now who can actually tell you that they mentored me into speaking. They'll be lying. I'm a self-trained speaker. So from a guy who never did any public speaking, from a guy who never did anything to do with speaking in high school, even in university, I'm not even a member of any of these speaking groups, but again, I actually get invited to speak in those platforms. Why? Because I shifted how I think. I shifted the way I think, the way I do my things. And every time I convince myself I'm a great speaker, every time I convince myself that my life is going somewhere. And this is what we want many people to understand, that you can't make money, you can't be financially free until you convince your mind that you're financially free.
So there's something about changing that mindset. And I think I like what you said, Arthur, in the sense that our words create our reality, really, and doing those affirmations about, speaking that positivity to ourselves is really going to then become our reality. So so our mindset is really key. Arthur, I'm really curious, just wanting to rewind a little bit, sorry. I'm really curious about where did all this zeal and passion, where was that light bulb? Where was that moment? Was there a moment where you suddenly thought, hang on, I can actually speak to the world, and I want to speak to the world. I want to motivate people. Was it at a time where you had motivated yourself and got to a certain stage in your career that you thought, actually, I've changed my narrative, I've changed my story. Now I want to change other people's story. Tell me about that bit. Where did that switch take place?
I never knew I was actually going to be a public speaker. At most, I thought I was going to be a pastor, but that's when I realized, no, I don't want to be. No, I'll never be a pastor. Why? I've realized that my calling really pretty much is just to reach out to people. So many people actually confuse me for a pastor. I'm not. But you see, I thought I was going to just end up a writer. And my desire was pretty much to make ideas make sense and just get to share ideas.
At what point, though, Arthur? At what point? Is it then when you were at law school, before law school, or at what point did you make that decision or have those thoughts?
One of the things that I actually get to struggle with is actually but you see, one day I was watching a certain video of this black guy, and you know what? He was talking about the story of Eli and the young man Samuel. I think you know the story from the Bible.
Yeah.
Where a voice was calling Samuel, and Samuel did not know what was happening. And you know, this guy said a point which really made a lot of sense. And he says the role of a parent is to create an atmosphere where their children can discover their purpose and hear God speaking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, only realized the guy is called Miles Monroe. And you're like, okay. And this is around about 13 years, 14, I think around about 15 or so. And I'm like, okay, one day I think I should also be able to make sense. And you know, I grew up with that idea that I wanted to make sense, but I never knew I was actually going to be speaking. And my desire really was to write a book. Still, I was confused as to what to write about. So I thought I was going to write novels until I realized, no, it was actually a disaster. I tried to write a novel, no success. And I actually began to question myself whether I'm a writer, blah, 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 blah. Until when I was in Form 5, something happened. I saw one book. Then I realized, no, that we don't have an Old Testament version of this book. Why can I create one book? Instead of writing separate books, I simply put everything in one book. And that became the birth of my first educational book, which gave birth to 7 books. And in the process of writing one book, I realized, oh, okay, I'm not just an academic book writer. I'm actually an inspirational writer. And so in that process of pursuing this, I'm actually realizing, oh, okay, I'm actually an inspirational writer. So now the bulk of my books, in fact, they're actually inspirational books. And I really flow. When I'm actually writing a book, it's just amazing. Why? Because I've now managed to identify the specific area that God has called me to do. Then the speaking bits, it became...
Arthur, before you talk about the speaking, sorry, with regards to the writing, you started writing, so you would have been around about 17 years old when you started writing.
Yeah, you know, my first ambition...
That was the first time you published. And then also, did you have writing skills, or did you just start? Did you go to get some kind of, did you just start writing? I'm just thinking of those who are here on listening to you now who are thinking, oh, how do I start? Did you just start like that?
You know, actually, so my first book, effectively, I started writing on a guava paper when I was doing temporary teaching. Yeah, guava paper. Yeah, literally guava paper. And from guava paper, I realized, oh, okay, I'm actually flowing. So I just want to write a 20-page book. Then I realized later on, it actually ended up close to 190 pages. And that's one of the books which was published. Now, yeah, so because I didn't have a mentorship in the process, it took longer. I actually waited about 9 years before the book would actually be published. But after the 9 years, after the first book, trust me, any other book is so easy. I can write a book in a day. I've actually done that. I've mentored people to write books. So I didn't have any special training, but I really thank God for people who came into my life when I discovered my passion. I remember Fano Mverengwe. I know he's watching me right now. I've done more now. But this is a guy who started taking me through the process of, okay, you need to write a book on Microsoft Word, send it for editing. So he actually started taking me through the practical steps. But again, publishing was very expensive then.
Yeah.
But I did something very bold. In my early years, 2009, 2010, I went to a bookshop. Then I saw a book by this gentleman called Robson Schumer, a very good friend of mine. We never met with Robson. So you know what I did? I took his email address from the big banner that I put in Innovate. I wrote an email. I'm like, Nkoma, I've just gone through a book. I love your work. Congratulations. I want to meet you one of the days. Guess what? He replied me in a matter of minutes. Same day, he passed through my office. Same day, we became very good friends, started talking. And guess what? He says, Bana, if you're ready, I'm going to link you up with my publishers, with my printers. And guess what? He opened a new world altogether. So now, Robson is always laughing at me. Bana, you've actually written more books than I've done. So, but it's because once you've identified your calling, one of the things that you now need to do is to be able to identify the people who share the same passion with you. And once you identify those people, get to learn, get ideas. So now the bulk of my friends are writers, the bulk of my friends are speakers. And now I've established very healthy friendships across the borders. And during this COVID period, I've spoken practically for every continent in the world.
Wow.
Just right now from the comfort of the very same chair I'm actually speaking with right now. Why? So once you identify your calling, God has got a way of doing it. He begins to bring the right people. For me, that's really the thing that I've actually noticed. But you see, when I was at the University of Zimbabwe, one of the things that I thank God for is I was staying on campus. And I remember I developed a habit where after 8 p.m. I used to do my dinner. DAX, those guys of the University of Zimbabwe. Now I would leave the dining and I would start taking a walk by myself. and I'll start doing my prayers as I was walking in English. So my English communication speaking became a result of the prayers. Those prayer sessions where you begin to walk speaking almost every day. And I realized, okay, so I can actually do this. So now when I go on stage, without boasting, I think I'm an eloquent speaker because of all that.
I'm really even amazed that you say you've got no coaching, no mentoring, because when I heard you speak, and in fact, the way that I came across you, Arthur, was quite unique. And I think I told you, someone just posted a video in a group that I'm in health profession. And I thought, who is this person? I need to know who they are. I need to find them. And then obviously, as soon as I messaged you, then we started the dialogue. And here we are having this conversation today. I think your story needs to be on paper, even though I haven't in a book, the whole story. But with what you've said so far, so a lot of key things are coming out of what you're talking about, Arthur, which is just so inspiring. So now let's go to the point then where you were talking about, you then went into university, and then how about all this business stuff, because you do a lot of business. Tell me a bit more about that. Tell me about what do you do now in terms of the entrepreneurship side of you, because I know you do speaking engagements, and then talk to us about that.
Quite a number, but pretty much what I've done is to monetize my gifts.
Yeah.
That's simple. So for me, I'm doing this talk with you for free because I'm a good person, but I actually get paid to do this. Yeah. So pretty much I get paid for my gifts, and pretty much I get to spend time as a lawyer, which also I get to charge per hour. And of course, my books, you need to buy them for a fee.
Yeah.
But of course, there are quite a number of business that I'm doing. I won't be able to tell you much of them now for obvious reasons. But what I want to do is just to speak at a basic level, where I'm saying if you've got a talent, you've got an entrepreneur opportunity. Yeah. So if you can write and someone can buy your book, you're an entrepreneur. If you can go on stage and say, I'm an MC, I can communicate, I can drive a program, I can make people laugh, I can make people feel comfortable, charge. Are you hearing me? Someone needs to pay you for that. Right now, look at my good friends, Mighty T. Mighty T is a woman who does not have a warehouse. But what she has is a very smartphone. And once she presses live, 10,000 people will tune in.
Yeah.
So right now, the majority of the media stations in Zimbabwe, they don't even have numbers close to her. Over 500,000 followers on Facebook. But what's the secret? This is someone who was able to discover a gift. This is someone who was able to discover a talent. And this is someone who's now decided to monetize it. In other words, for me to do it, pay me. Which is one of the things that I'm trying to help people that, guys, entrepreneurship is as simple as ABC. Why? You start from where you are. You start with the talents, the abilities that God has given you. So my abilities are in communication. So I can do so much in communication. I've spoken for very big corporates in Zimbabwe, very big corporates outside Zimbabwe. Why? I've got something that the world needs. I've got ideas. I've got a different way of thinking. So for me, the journey into entrepreneurship was actually as easy as identifying that I've got a talent, I've got a skill, I've got an ability, and that ability can actually be paid for. So now what I'm encouraging people is start from where you are. Start with the things that God has given you. And you see, for some reason, I don't know why the people who teach entrepreneurship try to complicate it. It's very simple. Entrepreneurship, by definition, FL, is the art of taking money from people without people complaining. Simple. That's entrepreneurship. That's my definition. It's the art of taking money from people without people complaining. So
really, it's about solving a problem?
Simple. So if you can solve it and take money from people without people complaining, you're an entrepreneur. So right now, we've got many people are suffering from depression. I'm telling you, you don't need to be depressed. You can make money. How do you make it? We're telling you the ideas now. I'm solving a problem. Now, if you want to study, get better grades, buy my books. I'm solving a problem. Now, if you want to get a good lawyer who can help you get results, I'm there. I'm solving problems without people complaining. So pretty much that's what I think we need to be teaching people. and encouraging people to realize that money is in daily problems.
Yeah.
Whenever you see a problem, that's an entrepreneurial opportunity. Whenever you see people crying, that's an entrepreneurial opportunity, which is why I think we need to simplify it as much as possible for people and realize that all the big companies that we see today, these are companies that are able to answer human problems. Now you've got your Waterstones, you've got your Marks and Spencer, you've got your brands there in the United Kingdom. You find these are companies that answer problems. Talk of your McDonald's, talk of your Walmart. These are guys who are answering daily human problems. And they're simply answering it at large scale. Talk of Vodafone. Vodafone is simply creating convenience. So if you want to communicate, if you want data, talk to these guys. Talk about AT&T. This is a company started by Alexander Graham Bell, the guy behind the telephone. And he realizes that soon we need to make communication easy. And he began to answer the human problem. So the question should be asked every time is, am I answering human problems? Because if you're not answering human problems for a fee, you won't make money. That's why for a guy who has lost their jobs, the advice we can give is, number one, don't cry. Because by crying, you're not answering any problem. You are actually creating a problem. Because even after crying, you still need to buy your facial tissues, thereby making someone rich. Collect yourself. Once you collect yourself, begin to think, what solutions can you provide for humanity? That's simple entrepreneurship.
That is it. That is it. It's all about solutions, isn't it? One question around that. One question around that is: so if someone has got a passion about doing something, and obviously, so for you, you've turned your passion, your skills, your talents, your gifts. They've now you're getting paid for that, as you said. Now, a person who is then, say, emceeing, for example, who's then called upon to maybe MC, what do you think? Because some people, I come across some people who say, well, I'm going to use that as training ground to then build myself up slowly. So do you start off by doing that maybe without charging a fee and then building up? Or would you say to someone who's listening and who's passionate about talking, actually from the onset, if someone says, come and MC my party, tell them how much you charge and just start from there?
All right, now I need to help a lot of people. You know, a number of people want to start where I am. Guys, you'll never be able to do that. So someone says, no, I've been invited to speak, how much can I charge? I'm like, wait, have you spoken before? And they're like, no way. And I'm like, no, stop to talk about charging. So first you need to build and the respect of the market. And the trust of the market. And once you earn the trust of the market, it's going to be very, stressful in a way. But once you earn the trust of the market, trust me, it's actually going to build more confidence, and engagements are going to come through. So one of the things that I've managed to do in my early days of speaking, I actually didn't know you can be paid to speak. So I never started speaking because I wanted to be paid. I started speaking because I was passionate about speaking. My first engagement wasn't paid. The next one was paid. And even though it was paid, I still remember I actually undercharged because I didn't know how to charge. So with time, I realized, oh, okay, this thing is actually a business. So rather than just speaking for free, you might as well just pay me for my time. But I've done a lot of sessions that I've volunteered. Like I've done a tour of the entire country training students on the books that I've actually written. Yeah, just pretty much taking through them same seminars. I've done hundreds of talks.
Wow.
And now when I go and stand on certain platforms that are paid, you're assured of a result. So we need to be willing to do certain things for free. Not because we don't want the money, but because we also want to build our brands. So if I go for a talk for bigger brands, even if they're not going to pay much, but you know, if I list their name as part of my previous speaking engagements, I can actually use that to take some good money from someone.
Exactly, because it's kind of, you're building your portfolio then.
You're actually building a portfolio.
Yeah.
So, and when you're writing that I've done A, B, C, D, you're not going to write how much you charged. You're actually saying, okay, I've actually spoken for these guys, and people begin to say, oh, okay, if this person has already done so, at least we can be confident that they can actually deliver a good job. So I think for people who are starting, let's not think much about the money first. let's think about developing our brands. And as we develop, as we grow, now we're able to actually ask for value. In any event, once people begin to see what you're good at, they'll pay you.
Exactly, exactly. And those principles, what you just said there is a lot of the principles that Les Brown, big gurus like Les Brown and also Simon Sinek actually have said, is about really just starting and then through passion, through solving a problem. And then eventually, because I remember Simon Sinek, if you've read some of his books, he said something like, I actually didn't realize that I could be paid for doing what I do, because he was more invested in the passion of it. And I think that is the trick. That is the key to it, isn't it? Now, I know that obviously time is of the essence, and I'm so grateful to have your time now, but I really want to drain everything out of you, Arthur. I want to hear everything and get as much out of you. So I've still got a few more things that I really want you to tap into. The first thing is really about, you mentioned about time at the very beginning, by really being thinking about your time and how you use it and being disciplined around time. I really want the people who are listening now to really understand from you, what are the key principles that they need to apply to really start to, to create that scaffolding to then take them off on that trajectory of actually making that entrepreneurship journey, or that journey of actually doing something for themselves through their passion. So what are the key things that you would, or ingredients rather, let me use the word ingredients. What are the key ingredients that you would say people need, that you have maybe?
It'll actually take an entire session to actually answer that. But pretty much, if you follow my Facebook, we've actually been covering quite a number of those things. But I think one of the key things in life, you need clarity as to what you want to do. They often say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So you have the clarity as to what is the vision for your life, what are the goals, the key goals for your life. And you need also clarity of strategy. How are you planning on achieving those goals? So they actually say, if you have all clarity and you get to document your goals, you increase by 25% the chances of actually achieving those particular goals. So be clear about what you want to do. That's why Solomon says, where there's no vision, the people perish. And key number two, I think, is the importance of concentration. That's focus. You need to learn to focus on a particular goal. Once you give focus, you also get to give your finest energies to your finest priorities. So a number of people, pretty much, they get easily distracted. So you are pursuing this, the next thing you hear is Badara. You leave whatever you're doing, you're now chasing that. The next thing you hear, sanitizer is paying, you leave whatever that you're running. So I want people to learn to focus, develop that focus. And focus, by definition, simply means follow one course until successful. Follow one course until successful. So give your attention to the things that will give you the serious results. But I also think something that's very important is confidence. You need to learn to believe in yourself, that you can actually do it. And once you believe that you can actually do it, it's going to help you, because the journey is not going to be easy. So I really want people to do that. And also to realize that success generally is a choice. You never be successful accidentally. You need to make the positive choice. And I am a result of the choices that I've made. You are a result of the choices that I've made. And I'm actually telling people, whether they like it or not, your bank balance is a result of the choices that you've made.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's the choices in everything, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. So it starts with choices. So pretty much, there are quite a number of things that I can actually share, but I've just given you some snippets. But most importantly, learn to work on your character. So there's a difference between reputation and character. Character is what you are. Reputation is what people think you are. So work on your character, because if you're so obsessed with your reputation, your character will ruin your reputation. That's why you need to focus on building your character in order to protect your reputation. So build on that. So why is it in Zim, we've got so many people are obsessed with showing off things? We've got terrible characters. That's why people are showing you their expensive cars and courts, but they don't tell you where they got the money from. Why? We don't work on our character. And see, a number of people are actually in pressure. These are people who realize that you're not in competition with anyone. You're not in a race with anyone. Run your unique race. Exactly. And so if someone is saying they've bought a vehicle which course A, B, C, D, realize that they're running their own race. Mind your business.
So stay in your own lane.
Stay in your own lane and
Yeah.
focus. I always tell people you never get a reward for coming up first in the wrong race. Why? Because they don't even know you're there. So work on your character, become a person of integrity as well. It's going to help you. And don't just desire to make money at all costs. You will lose it at all costs.
That's it. Yeah. Integrity is quite key there. So Arthur, the men who are listening now, maybe who are feeling down on He Matters and feeling that they've come to that end. Obviously, you've given us some nuggets at the end here in terms of the principles you said. What would you say to that man who's feeling quite depressed at the moment and just feeling quite trapped and not really knowing which direction to take? What are the words that you would give them?
I'll tell you one thing. No one is coming to take the misery away from you. And it's actually very sad to think that someone is going to come from somewhere and say you've cried enough. No, that's not how life operates.
Yeah.
You need to learn to pick yourself up.
Definitely.
Learn to pick yourself up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen. Learn to pick yourself up. I've got good days. Yeah, I've got good days, I've got bad days. But you see, I conquer my bad days by reminding myself that no one is coming to pick me up. I conquer my bad days by realizing that I'm in charge. I conquer my days by realizing that I can't be crying forever. I need to get to a point where I'm like, oh, okay, but I'm stronger than this. I'm better than this. So what I want everyone who is listening to us right now is to work on their esteem issues. Work on your self-esteem. Make yourself believe. Make yourself realize that you are the one to make things happen. Make yourself realize that your value doesn't come from your job. It's you who gives value to your job. And realize that whatever that is within you, whatever that you've been doing, whatever that you were, those same things they can actually take you through. And they can actually help you live your life in whatever new area that you want to pursue. So I need to encourage people really pretty much to stop the pity parties, stop associating yourself with people who help you feel sorry about yourself. Start introducing people who desire something better from you. Start introducing people who would take you out of your comfort zone. Remembering that there are certain people who are actually happy to see you in the situation that you are in. And you need to be mindful of the fact that even if you get some people to help you in your pity parties, that's not going to change the state of your life. But what's going to change the state of your life is your state of mind. So be effectively in control of your mind. Solomon says something very interesting in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Read the GNT, the Good News Translation. It says, be careful how you think. Your life is shaped by your thoughts.
Of course, you shared that with me before.
Be careful how you think. Your life is shaped by your thoughts. It's very interesting because it's emphasizing a point which many Christians don't want to hear about the mindset. You see, many people, we just focus on faith, especially the Christian world. But you see, you can be a person full of faith and be broke. You need to change your mindset, how you think. That's why I'm always telling people a BL which is properly run will succeed when a church which is poorly run will fail. Because of the mindset, the way we think is very important. And I think I've talked as well about associations. Begin to associate with people who are tired of the status quo. Talk to people who are like, guys, we need to change our lives. What can you do? Get ideas. Don't ask for money, ask for ideas.
I think our associations are really quite key. The people who surround us really shape who we become sometimes, isn't it? So all that is really quite key. Arthur, I can't thank you enough for your time here and for inspiring us here on He Matters. So thank you so much. And you've been so kind to even just do this for us here at He Matters at no cost. So I really just want to thank you for your generosity and for coming to empower us here. I'm just curious about your books, and I think I like the time one that you mentioned, but I don't know the rest of them. So are they actually on some kind of a platform where people can get them, or?
Yeah, we're not working on making the books available in e-formats, but those in the UK, I can actually send you the contacts where people can actually get hard copies. They're also in the UK. And those in Zimbabwe, they can actually get to reach to me. The number is +263 718 867 255. +263 718 867 255. Alternatively, they can inbox me on my page at Arthur Marara. In fact, anyone who hasn't followed our page, kindly follow so that you don't miss any of the live events that we do. We do them quite often, and we'll be sharing more inspirational materials. Yeah, so you need to read the books. They will really encourage you. So I've done a book on personal development. I've done a book on time management. I've done a book on financial freedom. I've done a book on people who are going through grieving. I've also done a book called Keys to Academic Excellence, in case you want to inspire your children in their studies. Keys to Academic Excellence is one of the finest books to give to your children. So yeah, inbox me for further details.
Wow, amazing. So those of you who are listening, please follow Arthur, says Arthur Marara on Facebook, and also you're on YouTube, aren't you?
Yes, just subscribe to our channel. We post frequently. Yeah, get to experience some of my videos.
Is your channel Arthur Marara?
Yes, it's on all the platforms is Arthur Marara.
Ah, fabulous. Yeah, please, I would encourage you strongly to just follow Arthur and the great inspirational, motivational talks that he's doing. Absolutely amazing. And you've really been amazing on our platform today, Arthur. But do you know what? I'm going to need to have another session with you, Arthur, at some point.
I'll charge you for that one.
No way. You can't charge me for that one. No, we've got a deal there. So thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you. Really great. And yeah, I'm gonna put that link about on your books onto this video so people can actually see where they can get those books. I certainly want a few of those that you've mentioned there, so I can read them myself. But thank you for encouraging us, and thank you for your time. And I'll see you at our next session, Arthur, when we speak again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for watching He Matters. See you soon. Bye bye for now.